You can never make money online or offline without having something to sell. You need to have something to sell. Hi, I would like to talk about something that a whole lot of people have been asking me about, and it's simply, Tim, how do you make money online and offline? Now, the simple truth is, you can never make money online or offline without having something to sell. You need to have something to sell. And to a very large extent, we seem to have so much to sell on a day-to-day basis. It's just that most times a lot of people really cannot identify what exactly they need to sell. And for so many, even though they know what to sell, they don't know how to go about it. But let me start dealing with those who do not even understand what exactly they have to sell without even going out there to sell, to find those things they need to start selling. And that starts with what I call skills, the innate skills we all have. First and foremost, a lot of people have something inside of them that they can share with the world. They have something inside of them they can build and sell to people who actually lack it. For example, let me start with when I started my marketing agency stuff. Basically, I did not go the formal way. That's the truth. I didn't start the formal way like every other business oriented person would do it. What I had as at that time was just my company, my registered company name, and that was basically all. And of course, that reminds me, it was actually the beginning of where I started the journey of starting a business without money. So when I started out, I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the cash. What I only discovered I had was the fact that I could actually sell to anybody. So it was that thing in me that says, come, you've got the skills to sell something. So why not go help people to sell their products and services and then get paid a return? And that caught my attention. So the first thing I was able to do was to start selling land GSM forward. It was not my product per se. It was a product of another company in Lagos. It was also not my funds. The funds belonged to someone else in Lagos. Now, the guy was not ready to ship in products to my office or to my house, because I was actually staying in the house at the time. He was not ready to ship in products to my own house, so I could now pick the products and go sell it. So what I did first was to start with my Facebook profile. I created my Facebook profile and took photographs of the profile. I even had to use his own flyers, snapped it, put it on my profile, but I was able to delete his own numbers and replaced it with my own numbers. And as soon as I started that, I began to see interest. People began to call me and contact me for the supply of those products. And before I knew it, I started moving around. I started selling. Listen to me. Before this time, I was dead, stranded in my room. In a full week, I can count that I would only go out for in a full week. I'm talking about a whole week, 7 days. I would only go out for about 2 hours. It was that bad. I would only go out for about 2 hours and then fall back into my room. Now this was almost taking my whole life out until I discovered this. And for so many of you who have actually been following me over time, you'd have heard where I talked about how I actually discovered the secret. which was from a book I listened to, The Art of Exceptional Living, which now took me into Think and Grow Rich. And from there, the whole thing changed dramatically. And for the whole of the week, I would just breeze in out of my room and just view the skies, or say, just take fresh air for probably 2 hours. It was that bad. But this business, as soon as I brought it online, I got so many calls and I started moving out of the house. And I was also lucky enough to have a car, which I bought shortly before I left my banking job. So I'll come out, take the car and drive out. Then when I began to see the upward movement of the sales, I had to start reaching out to more people offline. Now, don't mistaken this. I didn't have products on ground. So when I started advertising his product on my platform, I began to get people paying me. So the few amount of money I could raise, I sent it to him in trust, and he was able to send products for me. And it was so shocking that when I requested for about 7 products, he could send like 9 or 10, and we kept going until I began to start buying in cash 100 of those boxes, and we began to increase from 100 to 200 until I got one of my first big hits, which was a supply that was requested by one of the very major organizations here in Abuja, and they demanded for about I think about 300 to 500 boxes, and he was like, wow, you got this? Okay. Now they didn't give me cash, they wanted me to supply it first before they pay me. So what I did was to now give them my prices, then got in touch with the guy, he accepted and decided he was going to send one of his guys down with a flight to Abuja, which was the, now the transaction was consummated and I made a huge ton of money. Now from there I moved into another mega deal, and it kept coming like that on, and that was how I shot into the skies with that just one product. Now you must also understand that in the course of doing the mega 1, 2, 3 supplies, I did not just limit myself to the Facebook. I didn't limit myself to just walking to people's offices and delivering. I also decided to bring 1 or 2 guys in, and we could do on the traffic sales, where I parked my car, load the boxes of telephones on my car, then we go in between the traffic where vehicles are moving, and we're displaying our products, and we're getting a lot of sales, getting our numbers, and we're supplying them. Then beyond that, I also got into partnership with some great guys in Globacom, in Etisalat, and MTN. And these guys would also go out there and make great marketing for my product. Now it was also a sync between my own product and their own product, which was the CUG, Closed User Group lines. So we meshed it and we began to market for each other. So they would go market for me and bring me in to come and talk about my products. I'll go market as well my products and bring them in to come and talk about their products. So we got so many companies buying our products, and that was how I also began to sell all the products in the telecommunication line. That's by expanding my reach, and it was awesome. And in a bit to actually get to you to understand where I'm driving to, I must state it clearly that, you see, it's not about having the monies to start a business. It's not about having the contacts or the people to start a business first. What is most important is you having the innate knowledge of that potential you have that you can share with the world. I had this marketing and sales potential, and I was confident about myself. So I got out there and decided, okay, I picked this product and let me sell this product to this person and get paid at the end of the day. And it worked for me. You can also do that and it will work for you. Now, I want to buttress this fact again. But listen, it's not all about you having the resources to start a business. It's just about you identifying that thing you have that people are actually in demand for. So once you know that, you can go out there and start using it. And one of the greatest gifts we all have that is so common to every one of us, which of course we can improve on, is this marketing and sales skills. Now, not just that, we also have so many platforms that are supporting these things for us, such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and the likes. You have all of this today supporting you to launch whatever skill you have and begin to get the kind of flows you want. Now, keeping those marketing and sales skills, our talents aside, you have some other informational products that you have as an individual that you have not looked deep into. You probably know how to play guitar. There are so many people that are willing to learn how to play guitars today, and they do not know where to go to. Why not come on board, come online, and begin to talk about guitar playing, and begin to play great sounds, begin to tell people what they need to know about one or two things. Then you can create your own product from this aspect and begin to sell it online. That's one. Another thing is you probably you're a medical practitioner, you're a doctor, and you know a lot of people. In fact, the health niche is a very hot niche that people really do not understand how to play in it. A lot of doctors are staying redundant. A lot of doctors are having very little flows of patients into their hospitals because they have not explored this aspect. I know also that the laws may say do not advertise as a medical doctor. Yes, you don't, but you are allowed to educate the public. So why not come online and begin to educate the public about what you have learned as a medical practitioner? Be you a pharmacist, a nurse, a doctor, just name it. In the medical field, you have a potential of great clientele base that you can explore. So I advise the doctors, nurses, pharmacists, explore this aspect. That thing you have spent the whole of your years, active years as a student to learn, why waste it? Why go sit down in one government hospital and wait for monthly salaries? I hear a lot of doctors complain about salaries, pay increase, pay rise, and all of that. Listen to me. We are in an economy, or we are in a country that has more problem for itself than for you as an individual. So look away from the government's, what the government is going to do for you. Think about what you're going to do for yourself and what you're also going to do for the government. And this is basically what you're going to do for yourself. One, by ensuring that you bring more wealth to yourself, by ensuring that you service more people, either by educating them or treating them through your daily educational project. And how do you help the government? By the time you're educating more people and you're creating more comfort in homes, treating more people, you're reducing the job for the government, because as far as the government is concerned, all they want is to have every one of us healthy. But if we are going to continue to wait for the government to pay us first before we begin to deliver those very strategic things that we need to deliver as medical doctors, then I bet it's going to take a whole length of time for you to achieve that feat. So that's by the side for medical doctors. Let's think about lawyers. How can lawyers actually generate income for themselves without actually going to court, without actually finding someone who's got a case, or probably asking the government to give them contracts? I know a lot of lawyers are going through a whole lot of mess. I go to courts and I see how lawyers are suffering. It's quite pathetic. It's one of the careers I really cherish. It's one of the careers I really love, and if not for time, I think I would also want to enroll for it. But that's by the way. For lawyers, you have the greatest advantage here. You don't have to wait until a case goes bad. You don't have to wait until someone is in court You don't have to wait until someone calls you to the police station for you to be able to sell your services. You've got great information that a lot of people are willing to have. And this is how you go about it. Create an educational platform and begin to talk about the very many problems people face in the society because of their ignorance, and has landed them in a lot of pains. You begin to talk about that. I can give myself as a plain instance. I came into this industry, into the real estate industry, from the banking sector without actually knowing what the real estate industry is like. And I got into a whole lot of mess. If I had a lawyer who probably was online on a day-to-day basis, sharing his information, educating people about what not to do, what to do, especially when you find yourself in this property market, what do you need to do? I probably would have stuck to that lawyer first before I plunged my monies into the real estate business. Or maybe when I plunged my money into the real estate business and I began to observe that things were going the wrong way, I probably would have run back to the real estate lawyer, or the property lawyer who has been online talking about all of this, and share my thoughts. Then he would say, okay, Tim, your case is actually right now bad because one, you released money without signing the proper deals, and two, you didn't do what you need to do here and there and all of that. So we're going to come in, but before we come in, you've got to pay this amount of money, and this is what we are going to deliver for you. If I had that opportunity, I probably would have been out of the woods earlier than ever. But I spent 4 years because I was ignorant. In court, I spent 4 years in court because I was ignorant. So lawyers, you have one of the greatest opportunities right now in these days to be able to sell your skills and make money. You don't have to also continuously run to courts to solve one or two problems. You can sit back here, educate people. Now go ahead and employ more lawyers to work for you, so you don't have to be in court. Your job will just be on a day-to-day basis, sit in your room, get a cup of coffee, call your wife, and ask her to sit and interview you on a few questions you have written down based on what you have observed as one of the major challenges in the society. How about it? Now, let's talk about another skills. Another skills that I know works really well today is the do-it-yourself kind of skills. What that means is we have a lot of homes today that are quite busy. They can't do everything. The wife is busy, the husband is busy, the kids are quite too small to handle house chores. What if you, as a fellow today, decide to create a platform and go ahead to hire more people who are willing and level-headed, very hardworking, sincere? You get the sets of people registered on your platforms, and now send them to those homes who are interested in your services. Do you understand that? Let me give you a clear example. If you've checked airlines.com, these freelancers, their platforms, you would see people who write speeches, people who do graphics, people who advertise on Facebook and all of that. All of those people are in their homes. Now, the owners of Fiverr, for instance, are people who have this thought that I'm sharing with you. So they sit back in their home, design a website, and said, oh, Nigerians, come and register if you know the skill, if you have the skill. And go in here, register yourself in this platform. South Africans, if you're good, do the same thing. Americans, do the same thing. Canadians, do the same thing. Zambians, just name it. So it's a whole world wide web that they have created, such that I am here in Nigeria today and I want something done on my platform. I want a website design. I know how to develop a website as we speak today, but I don't want to waste all the time to go build a website. So I go on airlines and I say, hey, I want someone who can actually develop a website for me within 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day, and all of that. And I choose the person, and I look at the ratings of the person. Perfect guy. I get into discussion with the person, and the person says, okay, this is my fee. What Fiverr does is, I pay the monies to Fiverr, and Fiverr holds the money one side and says, hey, Mr. A, go and do the website design for him. And once you're done, let him approve that the work is well done. Come back and we'll release your money. And that person comes to me, gets what I want him to do, and he does the job, and I say, okay, beautiful, I'm comfortable with the work you've done. Then I go to Fiverr and say, go ahead and release the funds to him, and Fiverr does that to him. Now I bring it to you for those who want to do the house chores. You have a platform. You can go ahead and design it. You want to compete with me? Because it's one of my dreams as well. You can go ahead and design a platform and say, hey, I'm going to do this for Nigerians, especially those without jobs. I'll sit down, create a platform, and I advertise it to people who actually have those skills. You know how to clean, you know how to wash, you know how to iron clothes, you know how to cook, you know how to do whatever. Just all those kind of menial jobs, house chores, and you register on my platform, then and I advertise to other people who need your services. They pay to me. I ask you to go and do the job. After doing the job, those people say, oh, you've done a great job. Team, you can go ahead and release this form. And I pay the person. Do you get that? These are simple skills that you have. You don't need monies to begin to do. Maybe a doctor, a lawyer also wants this, but he doesn't know how to do it. You can also, by what I'm teaching here, decide to ask them to pay you, and you do it for them. I hope this is very clear. If you have questions, post it under the video, and I'll respond to it. I'll see you again. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.